Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to join the 7 Golden Age Expo and Summit. My name is Carol, Head of the Gerontology Program from Singapore University of Social Sciences. Today's session is about turning silver into gold, smart aging innovation in Singapore, and how different stakeholders in Singapore to promote smart aging. Similar to Hong Kong, Singapore is facing rapid aging population. In 2030, the elderly population will be increased by 3 times. The government launched an action plan for successful aging to build a nation for all ages in 2015. This year, the Ministry of Health also rolled out Healthier SG strategy with focus on preventive care. How and what the stakeholders are doing in order to build an innovative ecosystem or support for better health. Today, we are very happy to have 3 speakers from Community Hospital, Sports Singapore, and Social Enterprise to share about their work. Each speaker will have around 20 minutes for presentation, and then we will have around 20 to 30 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please write down your questions in the Q&A box. We will talk about it, and the speakers can answer directly through the Q&A box, or maybe we will actually discuss in the Q&A session. Without further ado, may I first invite Professor Lee King Hock, Deputy CEO, Education and Community Partnership from SingHealth Community Hospital, to talk about social prescribing, innovating a new model of care to support smart aging in Singapore. Professor Lee, please.
Hi, thank you, Carol. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, good, thanks. So thank you for the opportunity to share some of the work that we are doing in Singapore. I will start by first telling you a little bit about our plan, what we intend to do to support smart aging, or we like to refer it to as a successful aging. So and then I'll tell you something called social prescribing. Some of you may not have heard it before, or you may have heard it before. And to tell you on our take on social prescribing and how we think this is an innovative new care model that can support active aging or smart aging. So where did we come to where we are today? As you know, we have fewer babies, which is not a good problem. And we have people living longer, which is a good problem. But these two add up to cause like a perfect storm where the population ages very rapidly. And I think it's similar in Hong Kong and many Asia Pacific countries. So when I was very young, the number of people above 65 to those below is about 1:31. So you seldom see older people. Now, in a few years' time, you will reach 1:4. So these are dramatic changes that I have seen within a lifetime, and I think that sort of underscore how rapid the population profile is changing. So we are aware of this problem since the 80s. We have been implementing various plans, but I think it really gelled in about 2015, 2016, where as a nation we came together and defined, say, what do we want to do as a nation to support people so that they can grow old gracefully in our country. And we came up with this blueprint or a call for action or an action plan, as Carol has mentioned. So essentially, we say we need the blueprint. While we are doing all these things, it's as if we are preparing for some crisis in the future. But actually, we should take a more positive approach to say, can we come up with a blueprint so that Singaporeans can grow old with confidence and not with trepidation and uncertainty? And we want to make Singapore a good place to grow old, where people are contented and say, yes, of all the places in the world, this is a good place for me to grow old. And we want to build a cohesive village where different generations all coexist and come together to support one another between generations, which is intergeneration. And we say, well, I think we should call this a city for all ages. And of course, we want to leverage on science and technology to support this. But we also believe that beyond science and technology is the human connections, the social capital that is really important as well. So we tell ourselves, so if we do all this according to plan, then how will we know we are successful and what should we aim for? So we realize that aging is not just sitting back, relax, and watch the world go by, and enjoy your silver years or your golden years. But it should still be a time of continuing learning and continuing to develop potential of human beings, regardless of the age, even when they're in the older age, that they can still be actively contributing and learning to within the community and be part of the community rather than to see the community pass by. So this is what we think we should aim for, and that's what success should look like to us. Then the other thing, it should be a kampong for all ages. So for the non-Singaporeans, you will not be familiar with this term, which is a Singlish word. It originated as a Malay word, which we have sort of built into our Singlish vocabulary. Technically, it means village. But actually, if you tell Singaporeans, they will tell, oh, this is like a reference to the good old days where the community spirit is very strong and everybody takes care of everybody and every neighbor know each other. So I think we should return to some of the good things that we had in the past and strengthen it even more. And last but not least, we are a metropolis, a city that is not focused on just economic growth and GDP, but really is a place, well, we still want all that, of course, but it also should be a place and a model for people to say, yeah, this is a city where we have successful aging and we can learn from them as well. So this is our vision of what success looks like in the future. So then what about the healthcare system? So you ask any older person, they will say healthcare is really important to me, because that's the truth. As we grow older, we will accumulate chronic diseases, we become frail, but not always, and we can always manage chronic diseases, and we can always live to a ripe old age without going through frailty. So then what must the healthcare system do besides all the technology that you hear in the news every day, which we will continue to have and bring the best into Singapore? But more importantly is the softer aspect of the healthcare system. So we must move beyond being focused on diseases, and focus on the person, and each person is unique. We must not focus care just in the hospital, but we need to move beyond hospital into the community. And we must care with people rather than to just care for people as passive recipients of care. And of course, the system needs to be able to provide good care to the seniors, which therefore we need to enhance our geriatric care capabilities. But most important of all, as we talk about innovation, besides the technology, we need to innovate a new model of care that is now focused on the community. So I will just tell you what SingHealth does. This is just to say that SingHealth is a whole group of tertiary hospitals, primary care clinics, and community hospitals where I'm working in. We are huge by any standard. We serve about 1/3 of the population of Singapore, and we have lots of patients that we do. I'm proud to say that we do reasonably good work. But then community hospital may need a certain elaboration, because it may not mean the same thing as what you have heard or seen in other countries. Now, so I work in SingHealth Community Hospital, which is only 5 years old. Our oldest hospital in our cluster is 200 years old. So this is a new development, and is actually a sign of the times of what really is happening. So community hospitals in Singapore work this way. Okay, so a patient may have something urgent, goes to the acute hospital, and then after 6 to 7 days, most of them can go home. But there's a small group of people who need a longer period of recovery and a longer period of rehabilitation before they can reintegrate to the community. So what do? We specialize in making sure they can return to the community properly. So in this kind of hospitals, we focus on rehabilitation. After the acute care, we make sure that they continue to recover fully. And unfortunately, of course, some of them will need palliative care. But we take care of all of them until they are confident and safe to return back to a home, instead of hurriedly sending them on their way home. And we do this by making sure that we have active aging within the hospital. Other than receiving therapy or lying in bed to rest in the evening, we want them to sort of live like in a community extension into our communities, into our hospitals. So bring the community into the hospital, preparing them to return and to reintegrate back to the community after they leave our hospital. And we focus on the area called social determinants of health. Now, determinants of health, we all understand, it's your genes, is your cholesterol going too high, your diabetes out of control. But actually, if you look at this, in this box without the arrow, this is where clinical care is. We have to ensure that we have access to care and we have high quality care. But really, if you really want to improve the health of a person, you have to attend to the health behaviors, you have to attend to the socio-economic factors that affect health, and the physical environment that the person lives in. We call these factors the social determinants of health. So in this case, we feel it is not enough just to have a medical prescription. A care plan is not complete if we do not have a social prescription and that we call social prescribing. And social prescribing really focuses on, say, bringing health and social care and integrating them into one seamless care plan for a unique individual. We focus on the community because we realize that when the patient returns to the community, that's when the main impact of the patient's health happens. So we can have good outcomes and really avoiding all the unnecessary use of technology and hospital resources, but we also can improve quality of life and the healthcare of patients so much. And this we find is emerging in the evidence base that social prescribing does work in a good way. And there are different ways you can do impact organization of the social determinants of health, organizational level, of course, at the policy level. But we sometimes forget that it's in the community that social determinants of health can be improved by activating partnerships, giving resources, assessing the needs, and empowering community organizations so that they can do the job and support the patients, working closely with the healthcare system. And many people did not realize that actually at every individual level, you can actually improve the social determinants of health through social prescribing. So what we do is employ and train people who can engage patients, have a conversation, can assess their social determinants of health, and then co-develop a care plan that goes beyond the medical prescription. And we will ensure that these patients, if they follow the plan that we jointly develop, they can be reintegrated back to the community, and we can go into the community to activate resources to support them. So these are some of the key processes in social prescribing, which I will go through very briefly. So of course, we realize the importance of relationship. It's not just doing things to people, as I've said, it's doing things with people, with their buy-in and with their support. So the relationship is really critical, and finding the resources to support them. And then different sectors must work together. We cannot work in silos and each carrying out our own plan. So we need to have collaborative working between different sectors. And then clinical teams in the hospital must also be on the same page. That means they say, oh, I'm doing my best for medical prescription. I know I need to close this up with good social prescribing. I may not be able to do this, but I make sure I work with people who can carry out the task. And most of all, if there are so many people working to help one patient, then surely the communication between the partners are very, very important. And of course, the exchanging of data in this day and age, we are very mindful of data security and confidentiality. So we must know how to do this very efficiently, leveraging on technology. So these are the elements. So if you want to do social prescribing, you have to consider all these 6 key elements, and for each of them, you optimize so that we can have a good social prescribing plan. So I would like to spend the last few minutes to cover something called the asset map. Now, when we want to do social prescribing, then we realize that we need to bring the patient to the community. So what do we do? And everybody will know now, you go to either Google Map or whatever digital map you have online. Then you'll see all the fantastic things, the nice places to eat and so on. But if you search hard enough, you may find some things that are relevant to social prescribing. But we realize this is not enough because it doesn't capture what really happens on the ground, which is the association of people coming together to help each other in the community. And then on top of that, there's even a faster changing layer, which is the activities that really happen within this community that we want to help and where our patients are living in. And to do this, we have a certain methodology. We need to collect the data through community walks, social interaction, engagement of community partners, and so on, and then think of a way to hang this onto a digital map that the practitioners can use to do their work of social prescribing. And I think we are working on this, and I hope that we can bring our success for the future conferences to tell you about what we have discovered. So the information technically comes from crowdsourcing, and it needs continuous update, because it changes so much, especially the third layer when we talk about activities on the ground. And every single patient that we return to the community is an opportunity for us to elaborate on this richness, the richness of this map. And everyone is a light that actually shines to tell us what is really happening in the community. And finally, we have shared our work with other colleagues around our region. The WHO Western Pacific Regional Office thinks that this is something that many communities can consider implementing. So they have come up with this toolkit on how to implement social prescribing to support your own communities. And you can actually find the details of this little toolkit on the website. And I hope more of us will consider this idea. So thank you very much for your attention. I have concluded my talk. Back to
Thank
Carol.
you, Professor Lee. Yeah, and so every time when I hear about Professor Lee's presentation, I also find new thing. So we can actually see he actually need to mobilize a lot of resources. Yeah, and also mobilize a lot of community partners to work together. So I know that SingHealth also work closely with Sport SG, Active Health. Yeah, Active SG. So our next speaker actually is the chief of Active SG, Mr. Sun Hot Lin, and he will actually talk about his work about Active SG. So Hot Lin, your time.
Okay, 大家好，我個名叫 Hot Lin， and 我個廣府話識少少 ，so now I speak in English. And before I go on further, I just want to say that our Active SG is a national movement for sports, and I will show you a video of what our expression of active aging means, and in the form of video. All right, we'll change tag and then watch a video first. Give me a while. I play the video. Okay, hope you can hear.
Meili， 我在这个 TTS 打乒乓球已经7个多月了自从打了乒乓以后，我的身体也改善，而且医生跟我说不必吃这个胆固醇的药了，令到我非常的开心。所以接下来我每天都来这边打，非常的感恩政府能够让我们有这样的机会来锻炼身体。
The best part about pickleball is that young people, 19, 29, 39, can play on the same court as the senior citizens who is in their 60s, 70s, or even older.
But all my volunteers in this farm here, most of them are senior citizens, 60 and above. The oldest being 81 years old.
I like this urban farming because we can mix with friends and we have passion in it, and then we can get our hands dirty.
I find that the muscle mass deterioration does happen with age, but we need to build it up again. With walking and swimming, that I was doing earlier, I was not exercising certain muscle parts. Now with the few exercises that we do, we exercise all the major muscle parts.
我是一个中风的人士，其实中风前后7年了。我大概在半年前跟一般朋友做这个 FG 的水上运动，我觉得有帮助啊，所以我每个星期都来。
All right. I hope you have watched the video and then you have a good sense of kind of activities that go on, and also the energy in Singapore for our Active SG movement. Let me pull out my slides and I'll share with you some of the thinking and the plans that we have ongoing, and also some of the things that we are doing. All right. So just now, Prof. Lee has shared about Healthier SG, moving our health perspective to more of a GP, a general physician, out to the family physician for everyone in Singapore, and then building a whole ecosystem of support for the better health, a more integrated and a more social ecosystem perspective within our region. So in support of this Healthier SG, you can see that Sport SG and the rest of our agency that is related to health, from Health Promotion Board, MOH Transformation Office, we all signed an MOU recently so that we can work together to bring a healthier Singapore. So what is Active SG? Just a quick sharing. Active SG is a national movement for sports, and basically it is cut across the whole continuum of our life continuum, from young all the way to master. We don't call them old or seniors, but we call them master, from children, youth, working adults to master. And the vision is to inspire this whole Active SG lifestyle and transform our nation through sports. And then what is Active SG lifestyle? In short, is that if you cannot play, you come and learn to play. And then you learn to compete, and then you compete to win. But more importantly, we continue to have a lifetime of sporting experience. And if you have watched just now about in the video, sports is about three things. It's about play, it's about rules, it's about competition. If we modify the play, we change the rule, everyone can still compete regardless of our abilities. And incidentally, this morning, we just have a senior sports day for the Senior Activity Center. And yesterday, I joined a group of seniors at the nursing home, where we bring nursing home seniors all around the island and connect them through a senior sports day. The seniors cannot come out from the nursing home, but we bring the sports day to their nursing home through a hybrid model. And in order to do this, this whole national movement, we have to partner with all our agency in Singapore. So with the the children, we work with the early child education group, childcare center, and for the working adults, we work with the healthcare, like Prof. Lee in the Sing Health. Of course, we have three big health cluster, and also Health Promotion Board. And for the aging part, we work with the Agency of Integrated Care, definitely Ministry of Health, Aging Planning Office, and also our People Association, which is a ground engagement group. All right. Okay, for Active Masters Club, this is the division that look after the active aging. And when we talk about master, we want to do upstream prevention, and engagement. Actually, our master starts from 40. So master is not about a function of age only, but it's also about mastery, right? You pick up exercise, sports, there's always area to discover and improve ourselves. And through sports, there are 3 C's, right? One, we can build confidence through sports, and then bring about healthier, happy, and more engaged seniors. Second one, connection, doing the whole social capital, and then making friends. And third, the sense of contribution through sports, and you can do volunteerism, because senior know senior best, and the best way for a more sustainable system about to move a whole nation on active aging is really about senior lead senior. All right, and that's our 3 key thrusts about partnership, programming, and then building capability development. So some of the capability development you have seen in the video is this active health lab that we have. So it's not about measuring illness or disease, but measuring indicators such as muscle loss, muscle strength, your gait, how well you are walking, and then you can do more appropriate detection and then intervention, as well as osteoporosis, bone loss, and things like that. All right. Okay. Here I will share a little bit of our thinking behind our programming strategy. All right. We call this a diamond framework because first it looked like a diamond. All right. And really it's our gem because when we are delivering services, the key services is programming between the program, the curriculum, or the program contents, the coach, and also the participants. And the consideration is one, interest-based type of programming, localized context, segment strategy, as well as virtual. All right, so why local and virtual? Because first thing, although Singapore is small, but different towns in Singapore actually are quite different. All right, and we need to apply the programming in context of the local community. Two, on the other opposite end is the virtual programming, and COVID had taught us that it's the greatest teacher that we have to pivot very quickly to virtual platform to deliver our program. And I'm sure it applies in everywhere in the world. And actually, it gives us a lot of success. Of course, initially with a lot of barriers to entry by some of the seniors who may not be so comfortable with technology and digital stuff. But we have an ambassador and basically teaching them together with our digital ambassador office. We actually partner them and then also help support our seniors to access the digital platform for exercise as well as for content. So we also build up services like this, and through that we also discover that previously, before COVID, actually the seniors, some of them are already isolated. It's not during COVID time, and virtual platform actually support a certain group of them. So for example, seniors in the nursing home, all right, it's very hard for them to come out. But now we can bring that sports program into the nursing home. Second one is the caregivers. Caregivers is also very difficult to come out on their home. And they need to find some respite, and actually a virtual platform help them a lot. And the segment strategy is about programming that cater for active, pre-fill, and the fill. And you can see that the picture there and also in the video is adapted floorball. And this is a trial that we have done to introduce to the nursing home at Srinaya Home. And what I observed when I was there was very, very heartened because the seniors were praying and they were laughing and they were very, very competitive because we gave them t-shirt. There's assigned a team captain, and there was a lot of laughter, and definitely I saw them all perspiring. Already very good workout. And this is the one sports that we are, and many other adaptive sports that we're introducing to our nursing home and activity centers in partnership with our agency of integrated care. And the interest based on the left-hand side, you can see some gardening and all this. And you saw in the video, why the sports center have a garden? And because some of sports centers are actually quite old, and we have available space, so we have converted them to growing vegetables farm, because exercise may not be natural for our older adults. So it's a lower barrier to entry, and because it's a very good physical activity. At the same time, the harvest that they produce at the end of the season, say 6 weeks, 5 weeks, they actually harvest the vegetables, and then they deliver to the nursing home nearby or special needs home, and then they give them a sense of contribution. And the seniors or the kids will tell them what kind of vegetable they want to eat. Then they will go back and plant. So actually it creates the whole ecosystem. And when they come to our sports center, often Then we also introduce to them a swimming program and other sports. So in some sense, it's like a social hook. So this, in essence, is our programming framework. And from there, we have a partnership development and capability development to develop our own staff called Sport Champion and our volunteer called Team Nila. All right. And some of our success story. One, you saw the TTX. Basically, TTX is the outdoor table tennis. And while we introduced this outdoor table tennis out to the community, what we have found out that there was a group called Table Tennis for Group, and we partnered them. That the clients group were all people with Parkinson, and we partnered them. And what we have learned from this group is that actually table tennis actually helped them a lot in maintaining their medical condition and actually give them a lot of confidence. I myself, I personally play with seniors with Parkinson, but when he played the table tennis, they are so good, I really lost to them. You can't tell when they're playing table tennis, they have Parkinson. Really very, very good. And I asked the uncle, and he told me that when you're young, he was playing table tennis. And it gives so much joy when he was in the play. All right, it's just so natural. And what the manager and the client told me was that actually they helped them to control the medication. All right, so at least the medication did not increase, but and then it helped them to improve their quality of life. And during COVID, what we have done is also that we know seniors were the most affected group because they have to because they are the most vulnerable group during COVID, and most were isolated. And we are thinking of how to better engage our seniors. So besides going to the virtual space, we also think about how can we engage them in a large scale event through a hybrid model. So we went use the Zoom, and then connect the activity center, connect them to the home, and then we introduce adaptive sports. We deliver the equipment to the activity center. Then we make them compete through the virtual platform. And at the end, we have about 18,000 of seniors joining this whole week of a senior sports day. And I'm thankful that this whole program was won a finalist Innovation of the Year award during the World Aging Festival. And leading on to that, because we also learn square stepping exercise from Japan, we also have a bilateral exercise through Zoom with the Japanese and connecting seniors across the islands, interacting with the seniors from Japan. And we hope that this will be our yearly signature exercise. What we try to do is to create some form of leagues and competition, signature events where seniors has something to look forward to, exercise, train themselves so that they can continue to gain the mastery. And just by being just to look forward and participating to the event will really be a winner itself already. All right, and I hope that this will continue to gain more traction, and we hope to bring it to all our seniors in Singapore. And next, I'll share a little bit on the evidence-based programming. So beyond just doing community engagement, we also work with partner and institutions like SUSS, our Nanyang Technological University, NUS, to do research so that we can build up our knowledge, and then we can share this knowledge with our own community as well as different institutes. So for the square stepping exercise that help our cognitive prevent the cognitive decline, especially for dementia, and also prevent the strengthen their gaits so as to reduce their risk of fall. This is an evidence-based from Japan, but what we are doing now is because we have moved the square stepping exercise into a virtual platform. So we are working with our Nanyang Technological University to do a research on what is the impact of through the virtual platform. and we'll be sharing with Japan side on our finding. Second one is on the working in NUS on the longitudinal study on this physical fluidity and also cognitive decline through exercise, and particularly using her machine, a Finland machine. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. The other part is about how we see that now through the few years of exploration and also the whole community engagement, we see that actually exercise is not just a medicine, but it's a very good and sometimes free medicine. You pay only through time, effort, and maybe a bit of sweat. Okay, so table tennis, like I mentioned, that's the manager there. He's also himself have Parkinson, and he's together working with us and now we are training our trainer so that we can multiply and grow the TTS games into the community, especially for people with Parkinson. And we are hoping to work with Dementia Association so we can reach out to this group of clients also. And working with different agencies like Changi General Hospital on like evidence-based program like Steady Fit. It's also a so-called 4 risk type of medication of 4 risk type of exercise. And this is also a part of our research. Also including gym tonic, which is related to her machine, and aquafit is a water aerobic exercise, and this is very popular. And beyond just doing water exercise, we also have adapted water polo. We call the AMA flipper ball. It's very popular, especially here at Toa Payoh Sports Center. I can tell you, AMA really is very aggressive when they are playing the flipper ball, and we are trying to grow this. Then now there's an Akong flipper ball that we are growing, and the other aspect is also just now you have seen helping the post rehabilitation, the maintenance, and also continuation of exercise for stroke patient or stroke survivor. And finally, I will say that we collaborate with Institute of Higher Learning, and one of them is Singapore Poly. So this is a media arts design school. They basically is a design thinking module. So we work with them for the students to find out and use design thinking to create games, interesting card games, board games, and digital games, so that to better engage our senior. And the objective is to, number one, they can apply design thinking in the real world context to help older adults. 2, for them to build up the empathy to understand our senior. And this has also gained a lot of traction, and there were news and also TV reports on this. And we hope that we can, through this type of partnership, we can have more kids and younger working adults or students to apply what they are learning, and then have a better appreciation of aging and how we can all support the active aging movement. Senior volunteerism, I share about senior lead senior, our philosophy of senior lead senior. So volunteerism is a very key part in our whole movement, and it's a very key capability. And one of the key policy change is that we have got approval from our ministry in 2019 and launched in 2020 that we give a subsistence allowance for seniors who want to volunteer, because sometimes as after retired they may not have a continuous income. Taking bus and a little meal allowance will help support this, and through that, number one, they keep fit, exercise, keep active, healthy. Number 2, actually, they also inspire other people. All right. So, and beside that, the other policy I have not shared just now is that Singaporean seniors 65 years and above coming to our gym and pool is free. All right. Lifelong. So actually, the seniors almost enjoy a little like a country club type. The seniors that I met, some of them who are very active, spend about half a day every day at our sports center. And how do we express that in the and then we in the health district. So this is a big project led by NUHS, and together with many other agencies, we are trying to create a new model at a place called Queenstown Health District, because this is one of a district where it's very I will say that more seniors, and we are trying to come together to see how create programs, bring about all our resources, and then support the seniors to age in place and age healthily, age actively, and most important, age happily. And we just launched sort of showcase this in 1 or 2 Saturdays ago. The ministers was there and all this, and there were a lot of media attention in this, and this will be one of the pilot project to test bit all our ideas in one whole health district, and hopefully soon we can share this with our friends, our findings. And with that, my key point is to share that aging is not a liability but a force for good. All right, and I hope that thank you very much for your attention. I hope that the sharing is useful for everybody. Thank you.
On the website, if you want to find out. Okay, I'm back again. I think some problem of the internet. So anyway, thank you, Hotlin, for your presentation. So if you want to ask questions, please put down your questions in the Q&A box. Then later on, we will have more discussions. So other than hospital and then also Sports SG, we also have social enterprise who also support active smart aging in Singapore. So may I invite Mr. Adrian Tan, co-founder and also Chief Empathy Officer from SG Assist, to share about his work about volunteer and also caregiver. So Adrian, your time.
Thank you, Prof. Ma. So just give me a moment for me to turn up the slides. Okay, hope this is okay for everyone. Right. So right. Hi everyone, this is Adrian here. So I would like to share about who you are for a start. So SG Assist started out as a social enterprise in 2018 among a few caregivers. So myself is a caregiver to my mother who is actually suffering from breast cancer about 15 years ago. And unfortunately, she got it again the second time 5 years later. So as a young person, during that point of time, I was only 20 years old. I spent most of my time caregiving for my mother, even though I was still studying and just freshly coming out from the national services in Singapore. So as part of my caregiving journey, I realized how hard it is for sandwich generation like myself to actually find essential help to support our journey in caregiving, especially for our seniors and even for our loved ones at home. So and that's why the few of us came together and decided to do something for caregivers and to support seniors to age in the community with the help of their neighbors. So today, it has been about 3 years right now. We wanted to really, we have actually brought our model to a greater success with the help of the community. So one thing that when we started doing this thing, there was a very strong emphasis that all of us are going to be caregiver one day. So there are 4 types of people, right? Those who have been a caregiver, those who will be a caregiver, and those who are currently a caregiver, and those who will need caregiving eventually. So with this worldwide phenomenon, we actually thought that we should create something to drive community spirits, or in Singapore, we call it the kampong spirit. And that's why we actually started building this app, which essentially helped anyone who needed assistance to put up requests in the community, and in the real-time manner, it will be actually broadcasted to all the neighbors around you who have actually downloaded our app, so that they can actually contribute by volunteering to support you in simple tasks like getting groceries, buying food, helping you to bring your family members for medical appointment, etc., etc. So at the end of the request, you can even express gratitude to your volunteers, so that they can use the credits to redeem for something that can be paid forward to a charity organization that once again give back to the community. Yeah, so since then we have actually we have close to 10,000 registered users at this moment, and we have more than 5,000 volunteers island-wide. As you can see on the small little map there, we are where all our volunteers are situated in the whole of Singapore, and we have actually served more than 3,500 cases since then. And thanks to the support from various government agencies and also the media, more Singaporeans are taking the step forward to support us in creating a community that really cares for one another. So we have been actually showcased or been shown kind of like introduced by various media channels like Straits Times, CNA, or even some of the channels in how we actually supported seniors who are aging in the community during the pandemic, so that the caregivers can ensure that help will always be available in the community for their loved ones, even though during the pandemic they cannot visit their elderly parents and so on. So this is some of the use case that I would like to present to some of you, just to give an impression of how our app works. So Auntie Polly is actually a lonely elderly who is actually isolated with mobility issues. She frequently need to go for medical appointment, and her social worker and SGSCs always help her to put up requests in the app to find volunteers that can bring her for medical appointment. And Gina is actually one of our most frequent volunteers. You know, she's a swimming coach, and she actually volunteers ad hocly wherever in between the time when she's not teaching or coaching someone on swimming. She will help us to actually bring some of these elderlies to in simple tasks like going for medical appointment and so on. And she's one of the most common volunteer persona that we have in the app. You know, they are also sandwich generation themselves between the age of 20 to 50s. They have a full-time job, they may be studying, they may be having serving national services, you know, but it doesn't stop them from wanting to actually help other people. And typically they want to volunteer but unable to commit long-term, or worrying about that once they committed and they cannot fulfill their commitment. So that's kind of one of the stopping point, or what stops them from volunteering with the charity organizations. They prefer to volunteer during the pockets of free time, and as much as possible to volunteer near their own neighborhood as well. So we also, during the pandemic, we also launched our SGSC's apps helpline. It's actually helmed by students, homemakers, and even one of our volunteers who is also an amputee that is working in the charity. So they have been trained in various skill sets such as active listening, empathy training, emergency responses, and so on, so that when they pick up any phone calls that we receive from the elderlies or the seniors in the community that require assistance, we will actually escalate help or link them to the right social services or charity organization and even government agencies that can provide assistance to them. So we became sort of like a ground-out support network that helps seniors to be able to comfortably and with confidence to seek help in the community through our hotline. So during the pandemic, we received a lot of phone calls from seniors that require assistance that may not be directly related to COVID. You know, it might be because they're unsure about the COVID information and they don't know what to do, but because they received our phone numbers from their friends, they started calling us to ask about COVID-related questions. They also, some of them may not have any family members, or they could be migrants, and they needed assistance in regards to meals or even necessities that they require to tide over during the pandemic. And of course, one of the things that we always do is to match them to other social services, charities, and telemedicine services, because we don't really provide all these services directly. We are here as a platform to build the community spirit to support the seniors living in the community. So other things that we do is, of course, to bring them for medical appointment or even provide comfort and confidence that they are not alone in the community. And if they were to need any assistance, they can always call back to us. So other than supporting all these pandemic-related situations, we also run community events in the community, as you see in one of the picture on the right-hand side. Now, we actually do some community building initiatives, such as food rescues, where initially the food rescue was conducted with a mission to actually attract seniors to join us, to kind of like have conversation with us. So using the food rescues, we give out the free food rescue vegetables and fresh food supplies to the elderly in the community. And when they come down and spend time with us, we gradually teach them how to use smart technologies, such as their mobile phone, how to scan QR code, how to do the safe entries, or even how to book a medical appointment, etc., etc. So every time they do something that they have never done before, we allow them to collect a special gift, like such as chocolates or whatsoever, that they can bring back home to enjoy. So eventually, after 1 year or so, I think even close to 2 years, some of the seniors that used to be a beneficiary of this program of the food rescue eventually become a volunteer that now goes around to the community, supporting other seniors, passing food supplies to them, volunteering to bring some of these seniors to come down to spend time or to spend time meaningfully in the community together with us. So these are some of the community building events that we do together in our SGS's app. So as much as what we do in the mobile app side, where we mobilize the volunteers and the community to help each other, we realized that there's so much more that we could do to help caregivers and seniors in regards to aging in place or aging in their own home. So leveraging on technology and supported by a call center, or what we call contact center, we train seniors, persons with disabilities, and even stroke survivors or visually impaired individuals to become our care agents that will actually call seniors when on a weekly basis to befriend them, or even to respond to the emergency situations that may occur during at home. So we partner with various organizations to implement a series of this product to detect emergency situation and support the seniors in time of distress. So these are some of the devices that we actually install for the elderly that we are supporting, including SOS button, motion sensors, doorbell, or even fall detection system. At the end of the day, what we do here is that we are just a connector. We build in all these devices to detect any unfortunate situation, emergencies, and even just for the seniors to have conversation with our call agent. But we are not a replacement of their loved ones. We are just a support system. So as you can see, what we're trying to do here is that we want to connect the elderly with their family members, even with their social agencies around their neighborhood. And in the long run, we hope that we can even work with the government agencies to eventually bring end-to-end home care to all the elderly that is aging in their own home. So all supported by a core agent that we have trained, who are also senior themselves or a person with disability. So as I mentioned, other than the technology that we use to detect emergency, we do proactive checking calls with the elderly, ensuring that they actually feel comfortable knowing that the service that we're providing is not to replace the care and concern from their loved ones, but to complement and support them as another friend, a friend from the other side of the phone call. So the senior can also call us anytime to find out about information and services, such as helping them to find a ride to their medical appointment, or purely because they are just lonely and they want someone to talk to, or they just want to know the weather condition, they can call us anytime. And our call center agent will also immediately escalate them to emergency services, social support interventions, encourage them to go to the active aging centers or even active SGs to participate in some of the active aging programs, or even to notify and support the caregivers in any concerns that they may have. So this is what we hope to achieve. The app would be The app will act as an emergency response network whereby we can mobilize volunteers in the whole community to respond to any emergency that is been triggered in the community, or even to inform and connect all this help to the social service agencies that, such as seniors with dementia went missing, and immediately our app will act as a volunteer base that can immediately notify all the neighbors and volunteers in the community to look out for them. So ultimately, a smart city that is digitally connected and powered by kindness. So I have a quick video here to show how our volunteers and our service by the seniors as a care agent on the other side of the phone call that can actually provide a safe environment and also a less stressful caregiving journey for the caregivers. So it's just going to be a very short video, and if it's too loud, please lower down your volume a little bit. I don't want to scare all of you.
Today, we want to continue our mission to provide greater support to caregivers through Care Connect, a trusted companion to walk with you through your caregiving journey and connecting you to the right resources. We have partnered with trusted and reliable partners to bring about the best value and services, and we will bring on board more based on your needs. Care Connect, as its name says, connect community resources, products and services related to caregiving to caregivers and the residents who need it. And so by joining Care Connect membership, it provides a platform to find information, respite options and wellness services supported by SGS's app and our tele-concierge centers, so that your caregiving journey will never be alone again. Because we believe care is a responsibility no one should shoulder alone, and we stick fast to our mission.
So I'm just going to end here because the video, there's still a second part. So I think that's the end of my presentation, and ultimately what we're trying to do is really to also empower more seniors to become our agents or volunteers in the community to support other frail seniors that could be in need of help in a real-time basis. So if there's any questions, or if you'd like to find out more about what we do in Singapore, feel free to connect me over LinkedIn or follow our social media handles so that you can actually learn more about what we do. Right. So thank you so much. I'll hand over this back to Dr. Carol.
Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, so thank you very much for all the speakers to share about their views on, their work related to aging and also smart aging. So I understand that we have a few questions that are being answered by some of our speakers. So I have one questions here. Yeah, for the rest, if you are really want to ask questions, then you can type your questions in the Q&A box. Yeah, and then so what I will do is I will repeat Edith. Edith, you have a questions. I think this questions is for SG Assist, right? And I think one question is about how long was the incubatory period to come to today's success? What do you plan for the future? So Edith, may I clarify your question is to all speakers or just SG Assist? Maybe Adrian, you can start first, and then Edith, you can tell me through the Q&A box.
Okay, so how long was the incubatory period? So maybe for me to start, for the app part, took us about 1 year to really build the app and to understand the user habits of Singaporeans and how we actually can successfully build a community in using a digital platform. Took us about 1 year to actually find out and explore and even enhance the app to get to where we are today. And took us another 1.5 years to actually bring in about 5,000 volunteers island-wide and getting the trust and support from all the social services that we work with at this moment. So in terms of the long-term plan for the SGS's app, what we hope is that it will eventually become a platform that enables the community to help one another, encourage seniors to actually volunteer in the community, and therefore that recognition system could eventually be turned into something sort of like lack of a better word, a micro income that seniors could actually volunteer meaningfully to help other people, at the same time have that sense of achievements that they actually, by helping people, they can also improve their own life. So it became somewhat like a community safety net that is supported by the elderly in the community. So I'm not sure whether this answers to your question, Eddie. If there's anything more that I can answer to you, please feel free to ask in the Q&A, and I'll reply to you as well.
So Agent, what do you plan for the future then?
Yeah, so I'm going to enhance the app to focus on volunteer recognitions. So to encourage more Singaporeans to volunteer, especially the elderly, because I believe that everyone wants to contribute meaningfully, no matter how old they are. You know, for every one of us, we are trying to look for a purpose. And to me, my purpose is that I want to give back. And even when I'm old, if there's a way for me to give back in the way that I'm comfortable with, that I still have the flexibility of time and is still in the community where I live in, I believe it will help seniors with to give seniors a purpose to continue to thrive, continue to learn, and even to contribute back to the society in the way that they can. So yeah, that's for the app part. But of course, for the home monitoring, what we hope is that as we continue to grow our service to provide more caregiving supports to the aging population in Singapore, we will be hiring more care agents, and I hope that I'll be able to hire more seniors in the community. If I could share one of my projects right now, the first round of recruitment is 70 seniors. We have about 120 seniors that sign up for the positions. And I'm hoping to grow the number of core agent seniors to about 200 by the end of next year. So if any one of you wants to find out more about this, feel free to let me know as well.
Thank you, Agent. Actually, I also witnessed the development of SG Assist, from SG Assist to Care Connect. Yeah, because SG Assist Gerontology program also work closely with Agent to support the senior employment and also the volunteerism in Singapore. So I think the questions actually also apply to King Hot and also Hotlin. Yeah, and so this is actually about the same questions that, if you don't mind, I ask, because I know, Active SG, you also have an incubatory period, right? So Hotlin, can you share with us how do you think of why suddenly active aging will be in Spot SG, as what you mentioned about is a national movement, but somehow how actually this being promoted? Because I see a lot of questions actually to ask you about active SG, and even ask about the funding. You have already answered it, I know, but how this actually come to today's success?
Okay, I would say that first there's a real need. Second one is because I don't want to say because it's just because of me, but I joined Active SG in 2019, and when I came in, and one of the key things was that we were already building for the youth, the early childhood, and then working adults, and then there was a missing piece, which is called active aging. We were already doing master type of exercise, the traditional type of sports, and so when we came in, the new team came about, and then we conceptualize the whole active aging master plan. Of course, with all my learning from Professor Carol Ma in gerontology. I'm a student from gerontology, and definitely have this passion. And very quickly, I remember we worked out the active aging master plan, and we presented to our management, the board, and went to our permanent secretary. We have a civil service type of system, and then our minister, and with the two policy change, free entry to gym and pool, 65 and above, and then the civil volunteerism, and we start to launch this whole movement. And very quickly, we work with a different agency, and then we do the trainer so that we equip them with a bit of the sports science knowledge, and then like the different type of programming, and do some basic equipping. So that's how we have evolved over the past 3 years, and definitely with the active health assessment and all this, that all come in place so that we can all do more evidence-based type of sports. But we are definitely not there yet, but it's I would say a quick start for the past 3 years working in the different health group. And basically, because we are a public agency, our funding largely is from the government. But of course, we also work with funders like Toll Board. We have a Toll Board here that actually also funds some of this program. Yeah.
Yeah, I must say that actually this movement without Hotlin cannot be, success. I think the whole team in Sport SG and Active SG are very, very good. Yeah, and so we also have students now placing in Hotlin Center to do the intern. So other than that, I know, Professor Lee, you do the social prescribing, and then so you also work with WHO. I think as what you mentioned, you also want to promote the idea. So throughout the process, yeah, how do you actually start, and then from the starting and then till now today, and then what's the secret of to promote your work?
Okay, so I have a very boring academic answer. Being a semi-academic, so everything starts with a theory. Like you have a theory and say, oh, and a theory is a explanation of causation. This caused this, and then you think, if I do certain things, maybe I can get this good effect. So then you develop an intervention, whether it's exercise for people or linking volunteers to elders, or in our case, improving social determinants of health. So when we came across this theory of social prescribing, it makes sense to us, something we want to do. And I think most people, whether in the voluntary sector or public sector like myself, will always start off like that. And then we have to think through, and I think Carol will probably teach it in the course, so you should sign up for such a good course. You always need to think what I need to put in. How am I going to make it work? And then if I make it work, what are the things that come out? And how do I make sure that they are good or bad, right? And then once you're convinced, you need to get resources. You need, because this is the reality of life. Something good, you start off without resources, you run out of steam and the whole thing fails. And it's not because the theory is wrong or that your methods are wrong, but you just did not have that resources to sustain until you reach the conclusion. So I learned many of this through mistakes. And then after that, you then have to, what we call implementation science. The whole implementation process is a science that you can actually study, and it's very interesting. You can learn lessons, but the long and short of it, you always start off without knowing what is the final outcome or what is correct. You need to do this very iterative process. You got to explore. Then you see this work, this doesn't work. You adjust the model, you adjust the theory, get more resources, and so on. So it's a step by step. And implementation science tells us it takes about, very good plans take about 4 years before you can be sure of implementation. So this is a dampener for people who are very passionate, especially in this sector. I want to do this, passion, but sometimes reality kicks in, so you really have to measure. So, which is why we came up with, working together with WHO with this toolkit. At least there is some kind of a guide rather than just go in with passion. I think passion needs to be balanced with this very hardcore things about the reality, resourcing, doing things correctly, and so on, the more technical aspects. So
Yeah.
this is how I've learned through the mistakes I made in the past.
Yeah, but actually, Professor Lee, your answer is not boring. Yeah, because you also link to the application part, because if you have the theory but you don't really apply it, then it doesn't work also. So that's why you create evidence-based. So that's the reason why Hotlin also mentioned about that, with the research institute working together to create evidence-based. So I also have 2 more questions here, and one is actually also about Sport SG. So Hotlin may Lee A actually asked the question, may I ask where the senior come from? Are they referred by the community elderly center, hospital, or elderly NGO? They need to pay membership to join the Master Club.
Okay, so first of all, we have transformed this. When I came in 2019, we did an Active SG 3.0 transformation, and basically you want to be digitalization, programming, and to strengthen the whole experience part of it. And in 21.3, actually, we have done a 1.0 transformation, is actually made from a facility to programming to membership. So our membership is free. All right, and that's our Singapore way. And in fact, Singaporeans receive $100 credit to exercise, to join a sports club. So we are like a national sports club. All right, and hope you can visit some of our gym and all this. Some of the students from SUSS just visited this morning, and it's equivalent to a private club. Of course, minus all the frills, You don't have a shampoo, conditioner in the toilet. You bring your own, but decent in. All right, and so that is the membership, and the program got 2 types. One done by our sports center are free. because these are our additional role by our sport champion, and how I motivate them is that meaning and purpose to serve the community. But there's another group where they pay a little bit of sum for the private instructors, so the private instructors can operate in our community sports center. And the other one is also because we also don't have all the knowledge, so we also work with physiotherapists from the community hospital to curate program for a wide-based type of engagement, like the water exercise, people with stroke survivor, and so on, more targeted. All right, and for those that are even more frail or pre-frail type, then we work with Professor Lee and the different health group on a referral system, like the social prescription, what he had mentioned. Some work have been done, but more work are still in the works of the referral method, the protocol, and things like that, especially those who have chronic illness. So these are a little bit more targeted. That's why we have an active health lab. There's a little bit more like a control, so to speak, a control, and a more we have a more targeted program, evidence-based type, that and more care and control type of programming. All right. So in short, that is how we do it. And then if active, they can just come in. And for the health group, we are trying to work with different associations so that many helping hands approach. And the Stroke Association, Parkinson Association, all this, they also work with us. And so the people, public and also private also work together with us so that we try to create a whole ecosystem. Yeah.
I think the best thing is, you can actually work together to co-create the program together. So to echo to the need of the elderly. So I highly recommend if you come to Singapore to pay a visit to Sports SG. Yes. So I have 3 more questions here. So maybe I ask Professor Lee. Yeah, Francis actually asked about the questions. What are the current challenge of adopting social prescribing in Singapore context, particularly for seniors who need to work and provide caregiving for their patients at the same time after community hospital discharge?
Okay, so what we are trying to fix is to find the adaptation needed for the theory. So the theory doesn't work in all settings, and different countries, different settings. Even within the same country, say if we do it in a community hospital or we do it in primary care, and some of the acute hospitals are also interested. If you want to do this, you have to adapt it. So what is the right adaptation will need exploring and collecting of data before you can finalize. And thereafter, then you can prove effectiveness, because people are going to invest money in your program, right? They say, okay, how do I know that this money is not wasted? Or is there something that works better than your so-called social prescribing? So we need to collect data. So one of this challenge, because it's so new, we need to first adapt the model so that it works, and then after that, do studies to collect the data and prove the effectiveness, especially the cost effectiveness. Now, second thing, because this is a new area of skills, the competencies need to be developed, and we need to conduct training so that the people who practice social prescribing can become very competent. So we know what is needed to train a doctor, a nurse. What is it needed to train a good social prescriber, or we call them a well-being coordinator? So this is already out there. We need to assemble the right competencies and good programs to train them. And this is already something we on. The last part is the barrier of assets in the community. It's out there, but how do you know where they are? How do you know it's near the patient, is accessible and acceptable to the patient? And how do you, like what Hock Lin said, how do you refer and connect up? So this is a challenge. So we are very blessed in Singapore. We have people, passionate people like Adrian in creating all this wonderful stuff. And we have Hock Lin, developing all this program. And we say, how do we find out the right person to link, and how do we link effectively? So we are now working on how to map all these assets, as we have said in my talk, so that people can just take out asset and they can match. But I think it will not be entirely through IT or digital methods or AI even. You still need a human touch. To really understand the person, you need to talk to the person. Then thereafter, you really get the true meaning, that I think something that AI cannot replace, the human touch and understanding. Then we will link to good people like Adrian's group and Hock Lin's group and many, many other groups that are out there in the community. So I think these are barriers, but I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that's very important. So, Professor Lee, do you mind you also share with us, because you mentioned about well-being coordinator, because what I know, because of this program, you also create a job called well-being coordinator. Can you share this to the audience here?
Okay. So it always, when you want to train someone, you always need to say, what is this job that you're going to do and what is needed? Now, once you have a job, you realize, okay, to do this job well, what kind of skills and knowledge does this person need? That translates to competency. So you can create this competency. In Singapore, again, we are very organized. There's this skills future that has a technical skills and competency framework for different jobs. But we find that because this is new, it doesn't fall into any of these frameworks. So, but we mix and match, we create and add some in, then we create a competency, then we create a curriculum and a way of teaching it, and a way for them to practice in the workplace under coaching and guidance. And therefore, we will develop such a workforce. And we find this workforce is quite good because it's very suitable for people with the heart, that compassion and that willingness to engage with other people to help them. All you need to do is to match this with the skills and knowledge, and then you can have a very effective workforce. So did I go out of point? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you answer my question, because I think one thing that what I actually like it is actually when I talk to Professor Lee, and I know that he promote this social prescribing, and then so he will actually think about, okay, then what kind of workforce that I need, yeah, and then also what kind of training that that he need actually also to coordinate this work. So I think this is actually very important while we are actually thinking about the program. This actually linked to the implementation science, right? Yeah, and so we need manpower, we need resources. So, okay, then I have two more questions here. And again, we have around 14 minutes. So if you have any other questions, I can cater for one more, okay? So I want to ask Agent, yeah, so what's SG Assist promotion strategy to get user and volunteers? And in Hong Kong, many over 70 don't have smartphone or know how to use app. Does SG Assist have ways to help those in that situation?
So one of the, I'm sharing a very key learning that SG Assist had on the first year is that even if you have a population of 99% of the people holding smartphone, we have to make assumption that not all seniors are comfortable in using technology to seek help or even to build relationship with other people. So the numbers of technology adoption, it doesn't mean anything or everything in some sense in regards to supporting seniors in the community. So how we eventually, so the first version of our app versus now is significantly different because we designed the app with the UI UX consideration that is used to support caregivers. So every seniors out there, even if they're isolated seniors, they have no family support, then they will have a volunteer or a social worker that supports them. So the process of how we design the app is to have someone as third person to put out requests for the elderly. So that's the first change that we make. Second thing that we do in regards to supporting seniors is that we started a call center, a free call center helpline manned by volunteers themselves, so that seniors can call in to us and we put out the request on their behalf. And even eventually, some of these volunteer call center agents actually teach the seniors how to use their smartphone over the phone call. So that's the second thing that we do. And the final third thing that we always do in the community is that we work with various social services, charities, to actually run campaigns in regards to supporting seniors to adopt technology and also simplify the way that they can actually seek help in the community in a different manner. So we actually run campaigns such as giving out free sponsored handphones to elderlies in the community. We also work with various agencies that they already have the mobile phone for the elderly, but the seniors are not using it. So we actually arrange volunteers to teach seniors how to use their smartphone, or even help some of the seniors to actually apply for the sponsored or subsidized internet phone plan that the Singapore government was providing. So a typical phone plan costs us about maybe $20, $30, but in Singapore, seniors just have to pay $5 to $10 for a SIM card with internet. So that's where that volunteers will take the step forward to actually teach them how to apply for such a subsidy and teach them how to use their smartphone. So one of the things that we believe is that every elderly, no matter how hard they want to learn that digital technology, they may eventually forget about it if there's a lack of practice. I always joke around with this, joke around about this thing with using my mom as a case study. That there was one point of time that actually teach her how to use the e-commerce app like Shopee, Lazada. After I taught her, she successfully burned my credit card bills for like 2 to 3 months. But eventually she forgot how to use it because the lack of practice. She only used it once a month. Eventually she forgot how to use it, and therefore my credit card was saved. But that also means that even for someone like her, she just reached 60 years old. With a lack of practice, she will still not use a smartphone as I'll say as competent like all of us here. So which is why for all the programs that we run related to teaching seniors on digital technology, it's not a one-time off event. It's usually something that is more sustainable, that lasts for months and months, or even if possible on a long-term basis. So that seniors, whenever they know that they are in need of help to practice or to use their digital technology, there's always a way for them to reach out back to us, whether is it through WhatsApp, Telegram, or through our helpline. We will always be ready to actually support them in their learning, and therefore they can get help easily from there. So yeah, so this is the 3 different approaches that we use to ensure that seniors can still tap onto our mobile app and to seek help in the community and improve the conditions of seniors finding help through a digital platform. So I hope this answers to the question.
Thank you, Adrian. I actually in Singapore we have a digital ambassadors. So as what Hot Lin also mentioned about, right? Hot Lin, your program you also get some digital ambassador or your team leader, right? To also help the elderly how to use smartphone, right? Can you share? Yeah.
So we work with the digital ambassadors and then put our team Nila, the volunteers, right? We call our volunteers team Nila. There's a a cartoon feature. And they were going around to help the seniors to use our ActiveEnergy app.
Yeah. So actually we need more people, more stakeholders working together rather than one organization. So actually what you heard from 3 presentations, right? They all work closely with different community partners to create a better society in Singapore. So actually I saw one more questions, and so it's actually to Professor Lee. Yeah, and this one actually related to the public health system. So Professor Lee, maybe you take around 2 to 3 minutes to answer these questions, okay? So it's about from Thelma K. Is talking about Singapore is a medical hub. How does the existence of a health private sector challenge or affect the public health system?
Yeah, so I think I typed in the answer, but essentially public or private is just a different way of funding. So what we need to do is to make sure that the outcome we want to achieve is aligned. So and it's just a matter of different funding. And then of course, when you fund, whether people like us in public sector or private sector, you need some kind of governance structure to make sure that the funds are well spent and efficiently, and with good governance, they can also achieve the same outcome. So I think we now talk in terms of public-private kind of collaboration to achieve a common good. So I think it's not a good or bad, win or lose kind of thing. It actually adds up together. So I think we can actually look at it from this perspective to harness the private sector as well.
Yeah. So again, when we talk about the ecosystem, not only about the government but social enterprise and also private sector. So that's actually very important. So again, thank you very much for your sharing. And actually, we all want to come to Hong Kong to share this to you in person. But because of the pandemic, hopefully next year we all can be in Hong Kong and also share with you about the latest development of our program. Okay. So, but again, if you are interested to come to Singapore, please connect us. Yeah, we are happy to have more exchange between Hong Kong and Singapore also. So once again, thanks for your active participation and look forward to seeing you all next year. So thank you very much. Okay, so we have an online survey here. So if you have any comment, please also type into the online survey. Yeah, and then also I understand that in the afternoon, we will also have another session focused on smart aging innovation in Japan. So please to join the session from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, Hotlin, Professor Lee, and also Adrian. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, the organizer too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Have a good day.